The following is paid programming. Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd, certified financial planner practitioner and founder of Asset Management Resources, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. We call it Something More because we like to talk not only about those important dollar and cents issues, but also the quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Here he is, your fulfillment facilitator, your partner in prosperity, advising clients across the country, your host, J. Christopher Boyd.
Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd. Thanks for being with us. And I am thinking about my New Year's resolutions, and I thought it would be a topic for us to talk about. I'm one of these people who really likes to start the new year with some goals and some ideas of what am I hoping to do? What am I trying to accomplish? Birthdays and New Year's always seem to be the time that I step back and do some reflection. I have to say, in preparation for this segment, I thought I hadn't really yet come up with my resolutions and started looking at what were some of the resolutions I had in previous years. And it was apparent to me that I have some recurring resolutions that I haven't made good on. Weight loss, of course, Chris, is one of those.
Did you write your resolutions down last year?
I did, which, it's why I knew I hadn't necessarily achieved them because I had them.
Did you measure them?
I did not. So that's maybe worth talking about, that idea of, maybe helpful hints. Jeff, you want to start with that? That's a good idea, though, to talk about, the smart kind of.
Smart goals, right? Yeah.
Smart goals, yeah.
So a resolution is nothing more than a goal. And there's smart goals out there. I didn't create this, obviously. It's been out there for a long time, and it's just a pattern, a way of creating a goal that has proven psychologically, behaviorally, that you're more likely to achieve a goal if you follow a SMART goal. And the S in SMART is to have a very specific goal. So if you're talking about weight loss, Chris, it's not really a goal to say I want to lose weight in 2024. The goal, a more specific goal, might be I'd like to lose
10 pounds or X pounds a week or, whatever month or whatever.
I'd like to lose 24 pounds. It's not a judgment. I'm not saying what you should do. It's an example. Okay. I'd like to lose 24
Probably
pounds.
Not too far off. I'm actually not upset by that. Yeah.
And then M is measurable. So that's why I was poking at you, if you will, about measurable. So if your goal is 24 pounds, you could say 2 pounds a month. And measuring would be getting on the actual scale and saying,
that's probably where I broke down. I had the other parts, but it was probably the actual implementation, the execution, where I did not necessarily
the measurements to keep you accountable, right? So if you get on the scale on February 1st, a month from now, and say, oh, I'm up a pound, well, that will remind you that you need to change your behavior, right, to meet your goal.
So what do you guys think in terms of when you think about goal setting resolutions? Do you have categories of consideration that you typically think in terms of? Some of it may be behavioral, things that lead to weight or exercise or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there can be other areas of consideration. But what do you think in terms of when you set resolutions? Just curious for how we might sort of give people ideas for the kinds of things they might want to think about. I'll give you an example of what I mean, so you know what I'm talking about. I think a lot of times, we were talking about in another show, another occasion when we would gather together here for our episodes, the idea of things in the context of relationships. We're talking about identity.
Right. I remember that.
And one of the things that I was thinking for resolutions, that too can be in the context of the important relationships we have, to give thought to, are there things I want to do differently with respect to relationships? Maybe it's activities, behaviors, whatever. Sometimes it may be more internal. We talked last week with Father Vincent Daly, right, and the idea of something, a spiritual self. It could be an intellectual self. are there things I want to do for self-improvement, in the way I think about, what are my goals for intellectual stimulation? Maybe I want to read so many books, or maybe it's I want to get that professional CE, or whatever it might be, something of that sort. Maybe it's, as we said, in that conversation, spiritual growth. I want to try to get into a better behavior of having time for reflection or scripture or whatever it might be that would bring me.
Right. I
Um,
think it's very important that you bring that up, because I think our first two, most people think physical or financial, right? I mean, those are the two goals
right.
Right.
overriding. But as this is a time of reflection, this time of year, I totally agree it is for me as well. I think that you should at least contemplate or reflect, that will be the word, on those categories of your life. One more for me that I'll throw in addition to family, relationships, physical, financial, spiritual, all those things. I have one that may be unique, but I always reflect on how I'm spending my time, right? Because time,
We have a finite amount of time,
right,
and
it gets
that is
so
a really good point. I like that one, Jeff. I might co-opt that as part of
no
what I'm
charge, it's all
thinking.
yours. But
Thanks. Yeah.
so how am I doing with my time management? And am I doing what I want to do with the time that I have in any given day or week, month, year, right? And so
Just as we want to be intentional with our budget and
right.
our financial resources, to what we talked about in previous
Mhm.
conversations. That's a really great point. We want to be very intentional with the time we spend, because none of us knows how much we have.
Mhm.
And given some, you can make some assumptions about, well, if I live this long, you can break that down to, I only have so many hours of awake time. How am I going to use that?
Right. And not only what you're going to do, where you're going to do it, and who you're going to do it with. If you're thinking about time, you can put like two or three of your categories together by being outside in nature. Maybe it might be one with that time. Maybe it's with family members or friends to have social connections. Maybe it's listening to a spiritual podcast while you're out walking.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah,
it
it's a
is.
twofer in that instance. I got you.
That's
Yeah,
right.
you get. I think also, one thing that's probably a common thing, or certain kinds of goals like travel, or vacations, or whatever, some of those enjoyment kind of things. What are we going to do this year? There can be, financial, of like, oh, I want to do a home improvement or whatever. But I think sometimes, just it helps to kind of break it down into some of these
Hmm.
categoric mindset of what are the things, the areas in which I want to have some intentionality, some resolution of what do I hope to accomplish, and then sort of get into that smart planning that you were talking about, Jeff, in terms of is it abstract, or is it measurable? Is it something
Yeah.
that's it's something we can actually see if we've accomplished, and then how do you break that down into how am I going to accomplish that, and then maybe devise a plan for how am I going to account for that.
That's right.
you
Each
know
letter stands for one of those things. Go ahead, Scott.
I think it also has to be something you think is achievable. So whether it's health, fitness, money, time, I think you have to really think about it.
Be realistic. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna run every morning before work. All right. Well, maybe let's break that into once a week and baby step it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
save
Yeah.
Right.
X amount of
Uh,
dollars, maybe a little more out of the paycheck, and how does that affect things, and add a little more. So if you don't, otherwise it goes to hell in a couple months. You don't feel successful.
Yeah, then
So
you failed, right? Yeah.
yeah. And you just give up. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think also, to your point, sometimes if you have too many
Mm.
areas of objectives, it might be not achievable, and you get, oh, I didn't get this one, and the hell with it, so when you're thinking about that achievable and realistic, maybe it's trying to pick what's really important to me, what are my priorities for this year, and try to keep that to a manageable number, of priorities.
Right.
You know, I came across something that, as I was thinking about this, that I thought might be kind of an interesting series of considerations for people as they go through this process and thinking about resolutions and what's important. George Kinder is a legendary financial planner, actually from Massachusetts, and he created these 3 questions, and I thought it might be kind of worth going through those for a minute or two, because sometimes they are cause us to have some insights as to what we think of what's important. And so the first question he has is, imagine you're financially secure, that you have enough money to take care of your financial needs now and in the future. How would you live your life? What would you change? Let yourself go. Don't hold back on your dreams. Describe a life that is complete and richly yours. So if money's no object, right, what would that look like? And I think, if we say that, a lot of times we tend to think about, wow, I live on my private island and fly my fancy jets, or, whatever it might. We might get a little carried away, but, let's get serious about that. What would really be important to you if you had no financial barriers, right? What would be that? Next question, he says, now imagine that you visit the doctor and he tells you that you only have 5 to 10 years to live. Gender. You won't ever feel sick, but you will have no notice of the moment of your death. What will you do in the time you have remaining? Will you change your life and how you will do it? Oftentimes this creates some questions about, well, do I still have unlimited funds? No, in this case, it's just, you have whatever you have.
They are related, though.
Yeah. So, if time was short, would that change what you think is important about how you'd want to live your life and how you'd want to spend your time, right? Question number 3. Finally, imagine that your doctor shocks you with the news that you only have 24 hours to live. Notice what your feelings arise in you that as you confront the very real fact of your mortality. Ask yourself, what did you miss? Who did you not get to be? What did you not get to do? I love these questions because I think it brings us down to, like, if you get down to that, if I only have 24 hours, what's really important to you? And I think almost always it's about relationships. This is something that, according to Kinder, the third question usually generates responses that follow these 5 general themes. 1, family or relationships. 90% of the responses to the final question contain some aspect of a relationship that's important to you. 2, authenticity or spirituality. Many responses involve leading a more meaningful life if you only had the 24 hours to live. Right. 3rd, creativity. Surprisingly, a large number of respondents express a desire to do something creative, write a novel, play the guitar like Eric Clapton. What do you think, Scott? Maybe?
I was going to say that one's got Scott written all over.
Scott's got the guitar going.
I'd be happy with Eric Clapton's second cousin or something.
Yeah, yeah, right. 4 and 5 are much less frequent, he says, but 4 is give back. Further down the list are these themes of giving back to the community, about leaving a meaningful, positive impact. And then 5, a sense of place. A 5th common theme is, though nowhere near the first 3, is a desire to have some connection to a place, with a desire to be in nature, to live somewhere different, or to help the environment. these are all very, everyone's answers are different and unique, but
Sure.
you tend to see some themes. And I just don't know. I like these questions as maybe as you're thinking about the year ahead and what's important and what's going to be relevant to you. Your point about time, Jeff, is definitely connected to this. And, if we had very limited time, a finite amount of time of, 24 hours or whatever it is, what's really important to you in that? And that's probably going to be about some of your relationships, and maybe they're failed relationships or maybe they're not, and who you'd want to spend time with, and then just thinking about what's really important in your life. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to people to give a little thought around as they think about their goals. Anything you guys want to chime in?
I think the brilliance of the 3 questions is the order in which they're in, and how your brain just shifts around very quickly from fun, sun, travel, unlimited, to all these like material things perhaps, or
Right.
and then as you have less time, it helps you focus on what's really at the core of happiness for you, and gives you the opportunity after that reflection to maybe change some things today, not with any of those 3 scenarios, but just in the normal course
maybe
of life.
Focus on what do I really want to think
That's
is
right.
important and spend time.
And I think this is especially important for people in retirement, because when it's important for everybody, but when we're in our accumulation phase and we're busy, building and growing and caring for our family and our professions, we have lots of things that take over our lives. But in retirement, things just kind of as a vacuum fill your life, right? And
Right.
it's easier to get off course from what you originally maybe thought your retirement might look like. And so by going through this process, or just reflecting or having goals, smart goals, you get an opportunity every day, really, but every year when you're doing this, to reset and restart and recalculate, I guess is the word I'm thinking of. Like a GPS, recalculate.
Recalculating.
Where in these things we were talking about, physical, financial, social, family, relationships, spiritual, time, where you want to reallocate and change to have that retirement that you really want to have.
Yeah. I totally agree. Scott, what about you? Anything you want to comment on that?
Those questions remind me of a book I read. I can't remember who wrote it, but a person's gotten sick and recovered, and he kind of put it in a time frame. Say you're 50 years old and you think you're going to live to 80. Well, that's 30 years, and 30 years is a long time. Then you think about it, it's only 30 Christmases with my wife, or 30 Thanksgivings, or 30 4th of July. So it just made you think, I want to maximize all those special events or big days, and all those moments. Don't take any for granted, and really plan them out, because that's not that many. When you put it together.
That's a good point, and that's assuming you get the full 30.
Right.
Right?
No, it's true.
Yeah. So with that, just we've got a few minutes still, but have you guys given any thought to anything you want to share that you guys might be thinking about as your plans for a new year when thinking about resolutions?
Well, I'm a nerd for this stuff, so I'm going to scare you guys. So I want to play more golf. I mean, that's selfish, but I joined a golf group like 2 weeks ago. I haven't found anybody who likes to play in Nashville winter yet, but I'm going to get my golf game going.
Nice.
On the guitar side, I actually signed up for an online class.
Excellent.
Again, also selfish. And then for volunteering, I've already signed up for this. I went to the charity that I love, that kind of a food bank thing. I've already signed up for their volunteer things for January.
That's awesome. What's that nonprofit?
It's called One Generation Away. They have provided so many meals, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, but they have a great mobile pantry where you drive up, no questions asked, and your car is loaded with a box of groceries. So you go volunteer to help, hand out and organize.
Put them in the trunk or whatever. Yeah.
Great program.
That's awesome. Very nice. How often will you have to do that? Like, was it a weekend thing, or is it or get to do that, I guess would be the
They spot changes. So one's right here in Nashville, the next time it might be in Franklin, and then other times in different states. But you can help out at the warehouse and different things and fundraisers too.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Good for you. I love that. Sounds like some great ones. Hope your golf game really shows. How about you, Jeff? You have any? Those are really good. You guys you're on it, Scott. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I have that guitar lesson thing. I tried twice, and with lessons, and like 15 years in between the two, and I did not achieve my goal in either one, meaning be able to play a recognizable song. So I had in the interest of time, I abandoned that goal.
Yeah. I've tried in the past guitar as well, many years ago now. I never got past the point where my fingers had enough callus that I didn't mind it. You know what I mean?
God has given us all talents. Every one of us, everyone listening has talents that are natural to you, and music is not one that's natural to me, other than my ability to listen to it and enjoy it.
I think you have to be a little bit obsessed with it. Like you have to really can't be like instead of turning on the television, you're like picking up the guitar.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tried. I was obsessed, but I still failed.
Yeah.
So my biggest 2024 goal is that time component. I think I can do a better job with my time management and to make sure the things that I want to be in that period of time, day, week, month, year, is good. I would think my last year or so, I was a little scattered more than I wanted to be, like involved in maybe too many things.
Yeah.
Which took away from some time in the things that I wanted to do. Not in a crisis situation, but taking a time to measure it and think about it, reflect on it. I'm giving one thing up the 1st of January, which I think is going to one of my commitments or one of the things that I do, which I think is going to help me just stay more focused and have more of a peaceful existence.
Yeah, that's very good that you're tuned into that. I think that one of the things you've got is this, you've been enjoying the fact that you have this semi-retirement, but obviously you're working very much with a variety of things you do. But it's easy to keep saying yes, and sometimes you don't always want to say yes.
Yeah, I know that we do. My wife and I, we've defaulted in our professional careers and our public careers to yes, right? And that's not a bad thing. You want to do things. You want to do something that sounds good. You want to do it, but you say yes too much, you lose that time. To go back to time, you lose that time for the things that you have created as a priority. It's like a budget, right? We were talking about budgets. It's like a time budget.
Yeah.
Compared to a financial budget. So giving up something that I don't need to do will give me more time for the things that I want to do.
Sounds good. I have to say I don't have things as specific as you guys have done so far. I think I've got a bunch of ideas right now that I'm rattling around, and I do have some personal improvement ideas. Whether it's some exercise specific kind of things, and maybe get more sleep. I tend to stay up late, and
we notice from the time of day we get emails from you.
Yeah, exactly. I do find it that I can just keep chipping away when there's finally quiet, or no distractions or whatever. But I don't think that's necessarily the healthiest thing. So some of those kind of things, maybe obviously some weight related things. Want to maybe set a goal for my audibles, the books,
books on tape.
Yeah, I want to call them books on tape, but they don't do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even have a way to play a book on tape anymore. I have these books that are in CDs. I don't even have a place to use those anymore. So I'm like getting rid of them. So anyway, and then thinking about relationships, with family and close friends, and thinking, how am I going to enhance those relationships? How am I going whether it's spending more time together or something unique, some specific, endeavor, those kind of things is kind of, I want to get granular, specific. But we're going through a lot of changes here at work, so I know that the year ahead is going to be time consuming as we get started, but hopefully as the year progresses, we'll have more, I'll have a little more flexibility with some of those things. And actually, that's probably what we're going to talk about in our next episode, our next segment. So stick around for that. Until next time, everybody, we'll take a break. And until next time, keep striving for something more. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to Something More with Chris Boyd. Call us for help, whether it's financial planning, portfolio management, insurance concerns, or those quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Whatever's on your mind, visit us at amrfinancial.com or call us toll free at 866-771-8901 or send us your questions to radio@amrfinancial.com.
You're listening to Something More with Chris Boyd, Financial Talk Show.
Asset Management Resources, LLC, and J. Christopher Boyd, CFP, provide investment advice on an individual basis to clients only. Proper advice depends on a complete analysis of all facts and circumstances. The information given on this program is in the nature of general financial comments and cannot be relied upon as pertaining to your specific situation. AMR, LLC cannot guarantee that using the information from this show will generate profits or ensure freedom from loss. Listeners should consult their own financial advisors or conduct their own due diligence before making any financial decisions.